your head with me. Father, thank you for this day, and Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather. Father, we pray for our folks in the hospital, Father, for both patients and all those working, Father, that you would protect those that are working from COVID, Father, and that you would heal those that have COVID. And Father, be with our community as we continue to battle this virus. Father, as always, please protect our first responders. Keep them safe for us, Father. And also be with us as we have this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Next, under pledge, Councilmember Sprawls. You would lead us.
Join me in the pledge. Says we have a flag. Maybe we're not going to get a flag.
No.
There we go.
Floor.
Okay. Gave us glimpses of a flag.
Yep. There we go.
Join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's the fall.
Thank you, Mr. Spokes.
And do we have a Texas flag? Maybe not. Our echo is back.
Norma, can you mute yourself?
Join me in the pledge to the Texas flag. Honor
the Texas
Texas flag.
pledge.
What's
I pledge my allegiance.
Did we get off on the wrong start here? Honor. I pledge allegiance. Texas flag. Am I here?
There you are.
There you go.
Honor the Texas flag.
Texas flag.
Pledge allegiance
Pledge
to
Allegiance to the
Texas.
One state under God.
One.
Indivisible.
Indivisible.
Okay, that wraps up the pledges. Next on the proclamations, awards, and presentations, we will talk about Corona relief funds wrap up. Mr. Marrero.
Good evening, Mayor Council. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Council, the presentation for this evening is a wrap-up of the CRF dollars that the city received from the state, specifically what we were able to accomplish with the money that we were provided. Early on in this process, the city council made it very clear that it wanted to provide programs that truly were going to help those impacted by COVID-19. And I think we've been able to accomplish that. So early on in this process, the city council established a CRF task force comprised of council members Dean, Willis, and Bryant. I want to thank them for their efforts. They were responsible for really looking at all of the possible projects that we could do and then bringing back those as recommendations to the greater city council. So again, I want to thank them for their time. Just real quickly, I'll remind the council that this was a formula-based allocation that we received from the state. It was $55 per capita. The city of Odessa received about $6.6 million for its portions located in both Ector and Midland County. Ector County alone received an allocation of $2.6 million, and the city of Goldsmith received $14,795. I'll remind the council that when we were talking about this, that the state made it very clear that only certain activities would be eligible for funding through the CRF program. Those included medical expenses, public health expenses, activities to ensure compliance with public health measures, economic support in connection with this health emergency, as well as public safety payroll expenses. The first activity that we'll talk about that was eligible under medical expenses was the city's community-wide mobile testing program. It truly was I think, a really huge program for the city at a time that it was when it was most needed. So the objective was to provide access for the city and Ector County residents to receive COVID-19 testing at no cost. We conducted 16 testing events throughout the city. The purpose was to take testing to neighborhoods in order to make it more accessible for residents. That's why we had these at parks, community centers, UTPB, and we rotated those locations for the 9 months that we were in operation, or for the 8 months that we were in operation. We conducted summer and fall testing. This, as I mentioned, was truly a partnership that was primarily steered by our folks at Odessa Fire Rescue, along with the assistance of Philip from my office. It included local healthcare professionals, specifically Doctors Ruiz and Gonzalez, UTPB nursing students, OPD, Public Works, Parks, Traffic, and Code Enforcement in order to ensure the success of the program. The one thing that I am most proud of is that we were able to get several city departments to work together to make sure that this program went as well as it did. So the outcomes for our citywide testing program, for our testing total, we tested 3,215 residents overall. The summer testing, we tested 1,500 persons. Of those, 1,118 persons tested negative, 478 tested positive. Our fall testing, we tested 1,619 persons, 1,084 tested negative, and 535 tested positive, resulting in an overall positivity rate of 31.5. Once we have now concluded our testing, our mobile testing, but as the council is also aware, we also partnered with local hospitals in order to continue free testing throughout our community. We've partnered with ORMC as well as MCHS. The outcomes for ORMC as of yesterday, they've tested 1,216 persons, 605 persons tested negative, 347 tested positive, and 244 tests were still pending. If you factor out the pending test, their overall positivity rate is 35.7. MCH, they've tested 3,305 persons so far, 255 tested negative, 1,190 tested positive, overall positivity rate of 35.5. MCH has informed me that they will essentially run out of the free city testing within the matter of days, if not about a week. However, we do have another great testing opportunity for local residents. I believe Chief Huber will elaborate on that during his presentation. Moving on, under the category of public healthcare expenses, specifically medical and protective equipment, the objective for us was to purchase necessary medical and protective equipment for first responders and city staff. Again, the premise here was to keep our folks, specifically in EMS, protected from exposure. To that end, we purchased a glide scope that is used, essentially it's a camera that goes down the throat of a patient. Again, that was to create greater distance between the first responder and the patient. We also purchased a Zoll manual defibrillator for OFR, again, to protect our paramedics from exposure. We purchased 9 Lucas chest compression machines. The picture you see there is a Lucas compression machine. You can see what it allows is the staff to place that on the patient and then step away and allow the machine to do the chest compressions. And then we also purchased PPE for our first responders and city staff. PPE included masks, gloves, and other necessary items to prevent the spread of virus. Under the category of eligible public health care expenses, we initiated a COVID-19 awareness marketing campaign. The objective was to initiate a marketing campaign to create and maintain COVID-19 awareness throughout our community. We developed a general marketing campaign directed at all residents regarding the dangers and prevention of COVID-19. We developed specific targeted marketing campaign that was directed at persons whose primary language was not English, but rather Spanish. We saw this as a pretty big gap in our community, and that not enough information regarding COVID-19 was being provided in Spanish. And then we developed a targeted marketing campaign for vulnerable populations that were disproportionately impacted or by COVID-19, specifically persons with underlying conditions, the elderly, and low-income persons. Under public health measures, as you know, we partnered with local entities to provide food for those in need. We provided food assistance to vulnerable populations impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. We partnered with Meals on Wheels to expand their food delivery service to vulnerable, elderly, and disabled persons impacted by COVID-19. They provide daily and weekend meals to 87 elderly and homebound persons through this program. We also partnered with the West Texas Food Bank to help with the increased number of city and county residents struggling with food insecurity. They were able to purchase 3 truckloads or approximately 130,000 pounds of food for city and county residents in need. Also under the category of public health measures, we partnered with ECISD to facilitate distance learning and to expand work from home capabilities for city staff. The objective was to utilize CRF funds to address and adapt to the changing learning and work environments resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. We partnered with ECISD by providing funds for the purchase of laptops, iPads, and hotspots for students attending school from home and those that were lacking these critical learning tools. We were able to purchase 6,507 laptops, iPads, and 1,000 hotspots for students. We also utilized the CRF funds to purchase laptops and VPN licenses for city staff that were working from home during the COVID-19 pandemic. We purchased 50 laptops and 100 VPN licenses. The VPN licenses allows staff to access our city system from home. And then finally, we also, under the category of economic support, we developed the City of Odessa Business Assistance Program. It was developed to assist small businesses and micro businesses that were impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. We developed and marketed a grant program aimed at small businesses impacted by closures and the economic decline. We targeted small businesses that were unable to access PPP and other federal programs that were available. This truly was for those that were left out of all assistance programs. We developed qualifying criteria, and then we assisted 105 Odessa businesses, small businesses, with grants between $2,500 and $10,000. Again, I want to thank the CRF task force. Their work on this was critical. Specifically, I want to thank Councilmember Dean, who worked a lot of hours on this program, and Council members Willis and Bryant, who also worked on the program. And then finally, under the category of eligible public safety payroll expenses, the objective was to utilize CRF funds for payroll expenses associated with the city's public safety COVID-19 response. The CRF allows for the recovery of public safety expenses in combating COVID-19. As you imagine, EMS service is the one that was most particularly impacted. It has resulted in a dramatic change, a wholesale change rather, in how EMS services are provided to the public. So far, unfortunately, 32 OFR staff and 27 OPD staff have actually had COVID-19. All are fine and recovered. I think we maybe have 2 members of OFR and 2 members of OPD that are currently out with COVID-19 or impacted by COVID-19. And then again, CRF will reimburse some of our public safety cost. Council, again, that's my presentation. I just want to make sure that the council was fully aware of everything that we were able to accomplish. I certainly want to thank the council for their deliberation on the programs that you wanted to fund. I've talked to my colleagues in other cities, and I think we've done probably more programs than anyone else out there. So I'm really proud of that fact, that we developed programs that were truly designed to help the residents of Odessa and Ector County. And I'll be happy to answer any question, Mayor and Council.
Okay, any questions for Michael?
No.
Michael, thank you very much for all your hard work.
I would also like to say thank you to the 3 council members who worked on this task force.
Well, I would say the same thing.
This is Peggy. I really am just so proud of all of the things that we've been able to do with this federal money. We have crossed a gambit of helping citizens in Odessa through food and testing and grants and, just in many, many, many different ways. And I personally think this was a true partnership, using those monies, those CRF CARES monies we got. I think we got a lot of bang for our buck, but more than anything, I think our citizens, I hope they really are pleased that that we were able to do so much with that money. So thank you, Michael and Randy and Philip, for, we can come up with the ideas, but a whole lot of the initiative you guys had to do. So thanks so much, but especially thanks to all of the council that we were able to do this and do it timely and help so many people.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Michael. Next, we will go to Incident Command Report. Chief Huber.
Well, good evening, Mayor Turner, City Council, Mr. Marrero. Evan does have some visual aids for us. Thank you. I want to give everyone a brief update of the City of Odessa Incident Command Post. We put together a great team. He is the incident commander. Devin Sanchez is the public information officer. Joey White is our deputy incident commander and our liaison with the county. We've got paramedic training captain Chavez, who's our operations sections chief. Division Captain Bradley Reese, our plannings chief. We have Philip Uritia, our assistant city manager. He's over logistics and finance, kind of a double duty there. And under operations, we've got Jerry Harville, a captain with Odessa Police Department. He's over all of our law enforcement branch, not just OPD, but all the agencies. GIS, we have Ed Landrum assisting us in planning. We have the food bank, Libby with the food bank. We've got Melanie Huber with ORMC and Amanda Everett with Medical Center Hospital. We just started last week, and so we put together a bunch of goals and objectives. We've really started the beginning phases. And of course, as we like to say, none of us have a PhD in pandemic management, but we're excited about this, we're passionate about this, and we're learning as much as we can and disseminating that information out to y'all. It's important to us to protect the City of Odessa employees and also protect our community. And so working with both hospitals closely, because we know that's what the governor and the state is watching. is our regional advisory council numbers, because we know Medical Center Hospital, ORMC, and Midland Memorial Hospital, there's not just Midland County and Ector County patients. They're patients from Presidio, Terlingua, Pecos, Monahans, Crane, McCamey, everywhere. So that's what the state looks at. They're doing our occupancy rates when they're looking at our 7 day above 15%, and we're monitoring the Abilene rack, the Lubbock rack, the El Paso rack, the Amarillo rack, and everybody around us to see how are we doing compared to the rest of the state, specifically those in West Texas and those close to us. And so we've been at about a week and a half, and so we're putting that together. We've started a bunch of good conversations with a bunch of agencies, and re-energized our plans and refreshed our plans that we put together earlier in the year when we had the EOC set up. One of the fruits of our labors was that we were able to accomplish free state testing last week. And so I just want to talk about that for just a minute. So far, the state, they were looking for a place to do it, and we jumped at the chance through a STAR request through the state, through the county. The testing will begin on Friday, this Friday, December 11th. It will be based in Park for the foreseeable future. Right now, the plans are it'll be open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 p.m. There will be a drive-through component, which is important. They are telling us at this time there's no limit on the tests per day. And unlike the ones that we did, right now they're doing a saliva sample test with or without symptoms. May have a few more people show up that were a little scared of the nasal test. So it is open to anyone for testing. It's not limited to anybody. The state is paying for this. Our public information officer and our marketing team will put all this information out.
Norma, will you mute yours? Okay, I'm sorry, Rob.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. And so this is, we're excited about this. We kind of jumped on this, and I think it's important to have testing, as much available free testing as our community as we can. I think almost everybody knows somebody that's been impacted by this. We know a lot of people that have gotten better, but we know a lot of people that haven't. And so I think I also wanted to mention Odessa Fire Rescue is very appreciative of the equipment, the EMS equipment, our 911 equipment that we were able to acquire. We want to thank the city council, city management for that. It absolutely improves our patient outcomes, our patient care for our community, and protects our paramedic firefighters at the same time. I think I don't want to keep going on and on, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if anybody has any at this time.
Any questions from council?
I don't have any questions, but I would just like to say thank you, everyone, for your hard work, all those that you named, for your hard work. It's really important to me and to our community that we do this and that you all were on top of it to be able to get that regional or state site. I think that's a plus for the city of Odessa. Do we know the turnaround time for this testing?
I think right now they're thinking 48 to 72 hours. Sometimes that depends on how busy the labs are, but that's our initial information they're giving us at this time.
Well, everyone, and if you would please pass that thank you on to the entire group.
Yes, ma'am.
And Rod, that will continue into the new year, the testing?
I don't know, Mayor, at this time. It is a vendor that the state has acquired, and And so they're initially setting up, I think there's about 8 communities in the state of Texas that jumped on this opportunity, but we will try to find that out. We're really early on in the planning of this, but we'll see if we can't figure out that information.
Great. Other questions? Chief Huber, thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thanks so much.
Okay, next we'll move into the agenda. Just one quick note. We do have an item to discuss group housing in residential neighborhoods. I have asked our attorney to find out all the information from the PIC 6 cities, which are Abilene, Angelo, Lubbock, Amarillo, Odessa, and Midland. And she has not had a chance to gather all of that information. So if that's all right with council, we'll just push that to the next meeting. But if we have any citizens that would like to speak, I'd like to allow them to speak. So if that's okay with council, I just wanted to let you know that's coming up. Now we have the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, before we vote on that, I want the council to know that I'm going to vote aye for all the items. However, on item J, that is my son's company. Just want to make the council totally aware of that. I have no interest in it anymore, but I just want the council to know that.
Okay, Norma, can you note that? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I'm sorry, motion passes and we have one abstention on item J. Next, we move to other council actions. A public hearing. We will open a public hearing to consider approval of the request by Wilson Stephen Paul Trust, owner, for a specific use permit to allow a body shop and light commercial. Mr. Brenley.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council. The city mailed out 10 notices related to this case. We did not have any notices returned. We did not have any written approvals. We did have one written protest. That was related to concerns about all the appearance of wrecked and dismantled vehicles, and we have addressed that with one of the conditions that will be discussed here later on with during the presentation. Property involved in the request is located at 720 East 8th Street. This site is zoned light commercial, and it is occupied by a vacant commercial building, and I do believe that's the former house of seat covers on that property. Land use in the area does consist of commercial development. The applicant and property owner is the Wilson Stephen Paul Trust, and the purpose of this request would be for the approval of a specific use permit to allow a body shop in a light commercial zoning district. We do have a site plan that has been submitted. It does show the location of structure on the property. It does include a office space and body shop space. There are no additional structures proposed for the development. Building setbacks and lot coverage to meet ordinance requirements. The Planning and Zoning Commission gives unanimous approval to this request with adoption of the following conditions. The required parking will need to be striped. And the uses will be limited to vehicle body repair. All wrecked or dismantled vehicles will be required to be stored inside the building or in a storage yard that's enclosed by a solid 7-foot screening fence. The proposed body shop will need to meet all building, electrical, and mechanical code requirements. Any signs will need to meet zoning ordinance requirements and obtain a separate sign permit. Option of this site plan, and the council will have the authority to review the specific use permit upon the receipt of any neighborhood complaints. This would be considered a temporary permit, and the council would have the right of termination for any violation of the terms and conditions of the permit, or because of a negative effect of this use on a neighborhood, and this would occur after a required public hearing. And be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Brenley? Okay, this is a public hearing, so if anyone who would like to comment on this agenda item, if you would, please comment at this time. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
So
moved.
moved.
You have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we'll open a public hearing to consider the approval by the request by the City of Odessa owner, Newton Engineering agent, to rezone single-family 3 drill reservation to retail. Mr. Brindley.
Yes, sir, Mayor. The city mailed out 43 notices related to this request. We had 2 notices returned. We had 1 written approval. We did receive 3 written protests. And these protests had concerns about additional traffic and noise. And I believe these will be addressed through policies that have been enacted by the fire department related to any exiting on the site of emergency vehicles when a response is necessary. Property involved in the request is located southwest of the intersection of Brook and Grandview. Site is currently zoned single-family 3 drill reservation. It is vacant. Land use in the area consists of single-family residential and retail development. The City of Odessa is the applicant and the owner of this property. Newton Engineering is acting as an agent. And the purpose of this request to retail would facilitate construction of a new fire station on this property. We have documentation related to the release of the drill site. This request is not out of line with the City of Odessa's comprehensive plan. The proposed use will decrease fire EMS response times for properties in this area. It will also replace an outdated station for Odessa Fire and Rescue. This request is not out of line with the existing retail zoning in the area, and it will allow for the development of a recently vacated drill site. The Planning Commission did give you unanimous approval to this request. Planning staff does concur with this recommendation for approval, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Brindley?
Randy, this is Peggy. I just wanted you to tell anyone listening again that the sirens would not be turned on until they got to Grandview, and that the exit does not face any residences or their front yards or anything like that.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. And there is no direct access or exposure by the residences in the area. And according to Chief Alvarez, we visited with him, and he said the policy is to not initiate any siren activity until they get to Grandview. And the Grandview intersection is a controlled intersection that's got a signal in place already.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any questions for Mr. Brindley? Okay, this is a public hearing, so at this time I will open the floor for anyone who'd like to comment on this agenda item. If you would, please comment now. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we move to miscellaneous, the discussion of group housing and residential. We do have a couple of citizens who would like to speak, so I will allow them the 3 minutes to speak. So Darlene Hahn, are you on, Ms. Hahn? Darlene? Okay, if she speaks up, I'll let her in just a moment. And Gary Wynn, Mr. Wynn, are you on the call?
I am.
Okay, there you are. Okay, we'll allow you to go ahead and speak, sir.
Thank you. I've lived in that across the street since in the 25 years I've lived in that house. I've not had seen the traffic down the alley. People are endlessly coming down the alley, stopping for 2 or 3 minutes. Somebody comes out of the back of the house, hands them something, they leave. Endless cars in the front, drive up, stop, never get out. Somebody comes out of the house, hands them something, they hand it, they drive off. and an F-250 red F-254 pickup comes by 3 times a week. Somebody comes out of the house, grabs a big canvas bag out of the back, walks into the house, the truck drives away. There's just no way in the world. And I saw something on Facebook or Twitter or something that my ex-wife sent me. Has been called to that house on 2 occasions, and they failed to respond. That's unacceptable. But there's no way in the world, if the economy ever comes back, or even if it doesn't, if all those people are out in the front yard smoking cigarettes and being loud, that you're going to be able to sell a house if a prospective buyer for the house comes by and all that stuff's going on. It's just not going to happen. It's a single family residence zone, and there ain't a single family in there.
Okay. Did Mrs. Darlene? Okay. Council, if we can, if we could.
Is Darlene on?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay. I am located right next to the house. We have been here since 2005. It has always been a residential home, always. There's been a couple times where we have had men who would come in for the oil fields, but they would come in and you would hardly see them because they were working. In this case, when these men arrived, there were 5 or 6 cars there. And I told my husband, I said, well, I think our neighbors are oil field workers, but they're not working. That's kind of weird. I've also had situations where I have gone down the street and the door was wide open to the house and I could smell marijuana smoke. I do not smoke it, but I know what it smells like. Also, they're just going out to the trash, which dumpsters close to that house. I've heard them outside cussing and discussing things. So those men are not working, whoever they were there at the time. I am concerned. I've read some more online, and one of the problems with these facilities is that they are not overseen correctly. They're privatized, and I have not. If there's somebody there watching them or checking on them, I have not seen them. Also, speaking of COVID, these homes are also never have seen anybody wear a mask at any time coming from their vehicle, coming into the house, coming out of the house. And I would think that would also be a situation too, that there is high COVID rates in these homes as well. The main thing is the other night we came home and, to get into our garage, there were so many cars next to us in that parking situation. If an ambulance or a fire truck had tried to go down the alley, they would not have been able to. So there were blocking probably 10, 15 vehicles that night. So I don't know who is overseeing this, but I would like to hear more from them.
Okay.
Can I speak to the lady's comments just now?
Who is this?
My name is Matt Cody, Mayor Turner.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll go ahead and give you 3 minutes and then go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Turner. And I appreciate your and the council's leadership of this city. So some of the concerns that the lady just raised, and I'm glad that she said she's seen it. Just because we don't see anything doesn't mean it's not happening. And I know for a fact that house over there has a house manager. But once again, the lady did say, hey, I've never seen it. We hear a lot of people who say, well, gosh, we never see the city council. Well, they're working just because you don't see it. I understand the lady's concerns. And I'm glad that she said that she doesn't smoke marijuana but knows what it smells like. Because I can smell that in some city parks. And so maybe the lady should take a walk by one of those. I have been over that house several times. I know those residents to be tested very often. She raised the concerns of COVID and people coming back to that house. of course, I'm sure the lady knows that when we send our to schools, or when other people go outside their home to work and then come home, they probably don't wear masks either. And so that concern is invalid. As far as the number of cars in the alley, of course, if that's a problem, I know that the owners of that can rectify that situation. I'm not sure how often, one of our law enforcement officers or an ambulance or down the alley, but if that's a concern, obviously that can be rectified. Fortunately for the lady, and she just presented an exceptional alternative to that. On the occasion that there are multiple vehicles over there, they can just park in front of other houses. Fortunately, that's not a fire safety hazard. Mr. Wynn's concerns, I understand those. I was listening to Ms. from the last council meeting where she said she didn't actually care what the federal law was. She just wanted something done about it. And we all know that's an incredibly bad precedent to set, because based on that, based on that, then any municipality could come in and overturn something like the Second Amendment, even though we've got a federal law that protects gun owners on that. So I know that there are concerns. I also know that the leadership of this city will do the right thing and follow the law. I appreciate your leadership of this city and the council's leadership. To the retiring councilwoman, Ms. Dean, thank you for your service to the city. And Reverend Shelton, thank you for your service all these past months. You have stepped in and filled in. We appreciate y'all, and we appreciate you looking out for the citizens of Odessa.
Time is up.
We're going to go ahead and need council to go ahead and table this for the next one so we can get the information from Natasha, so we can see what other cities have done and what policies they're enforcing, so we can have a little bit more information. So I will entertain a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Vote is positive and one negative. So we move to boards. Mr. Maldo has not furnished me with any that need to be put on. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Did we ask for citizen comments on non-agenda
Yes,
items?
ma'am. She sends it to me.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So,
thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously, and we are now adjourned. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Good night.
Bye.
That's
All right.
Good night.
Merry Christmas.